basic objective of this emotional cafe is we all go through various emotions, right? हम सबके कुछ जर्नीज रही हैं, कुछ हार्ड जर्नी रही हैं, कुछ सॉफ्ट रही हैं, कुछ हमने बहुत जल्दी अचीव कर लिया, कुछ हमें कई बारी कोशिश करने के बाद भी अचीव नहीं हुआ, राइट? तो हर बंदा एक उसमें से गुजरा है बेसिकली. सो द आइडिया इज बेसिकली दैट टू मोटिवेट पीपल, दैट्स नॉट द ओनली one person, or he is suffering, or he is kind of having that issue, or he is kind of मतलब हम जनरली बोलते हैं कि भगवान सारे दर्द मेरे को क्यों देता है, राइट? या हम कहते हैं मेरे ही काम सारे क्यों अटकते हैं. So it's not that way, and it's with I think most of us, right? Only thing is that consistency, hard work, persistence, persuasion only make you that succeed into this. So in this, we have divided Emotional Cafe into 3 parts. The first part is basically that wherein we bring speaker who share his story, कि जहाँ पे what all has gone through, what all how he has been able to achieve what he has there today, what are the kind of struggles and everything which he has gone through, right? So that's one part, and that's a storytelling platform which we call it as. Second is we started from the new year, we have started this master class. Last 12 class was the first one, which was done by Rakhi ji, basically. And each Saturday we are doing that. And then third is tarot card reading. We will be soon coming up with the helpline on Emotional Cafe. So that's the fourth thing basically, wherein that jitni bhi emotional wo hai, we are going to come with that helpline for Emotional Cafe. That also is in the pipeline. So ये 4 चीजें रहेंगी जहाँ पे इमोशनली स्ट्रेंथन के लिए, इमोशंस उसके लिए यू कैन काइंड ऑफ स्पीक टू द पीपल, स्पीक टू समबडी, बिकॉज सबसे बड़ी चीज होती है कोई सुनने वाला चाहिए सर आज की डेट में. ये और कुछ नहीं चाहिए. हम ये गूगल पे सर्च मार के और सब कर करके, वो चैट जीपीटी आ गया, ठीक है, उसको जो बताओ तो आगे के डबल आंसर बता देता है आपको, अगले वाला भी. सो आइडिया इज बेसिकली दैट जहाँ पे वी शुड बी एबल टू टॉक टू पीपल, वी शुड बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. हम वो दैट्स द ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ दिस. So that's what we are kind of trying to do this in Emotional Cafe. So as I said, Gargi runs this show at M Health. So I would now request Gargi to share more about Dinesh ji, and then let's start this session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you, Gargi.
Thank you, Rajesh ji, and a wonderful evening to all of you. Dinesh ji, welcome to our show. You are the speaker today. So I'll just introduce Dinesh ji here. Dinesh ji, Managing Director of De-Rix Private Limited, Legasis Group Company, a postgraduate in electronic engineering and a TEDx speaker. Dinesh ji has rich industry experience spanning more than 30 years, having started his career with Tata Group. He worked his way to become the CEO of Mahindra Special Services Group and Mahindra Group Entity. Dinesh ji has more than 20 years of experience in the security and risk consulting domain. He has immense knowledge and experience in cybersecurity, information security, business continuity, GDPR, physical security, digital forensics. There are many more into his resume, into his experience. Along with this, he has also completed at least 150 projects related to fraud and forensics. Other than this, Ms. Dinesh ji is actively involved in animal welfare, covering feeding, medical treatment, rescuing and sheltering of community and abandoned animals. He runs K9 Mitra Rescue Group in Mumbai, which has become one of the most prominent rescue groups in and around Mumbai. Along with this, he also runs K9 Mitra Foundation, which focuses animal welfare in Navi Mumbai. So this is all about our today's speaker. And
great. Welcome, Dinesh.
Well, I have few words. I don't know. I just took us from someone write up. It's a small poem on animal. I'll just read it out. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is dominant with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? So poet here is wondering, where did human beings lose their qualities such as signs of love, calmness, tenderness, selflessness, honesty, patience, empathy, and pass these qualities to animals? These qualities are the lost values once human beings possessed. So Dinesh ji is going to put a light on this. He is going to share his story. Over to you, Dinesh ji.
Gagi, one small thing. I think we should make everybody mute so that
Sure.
let us, in case anybody want to speak, they can kind of write on the chat, and then after that question answer, we can unmute everybody. You know.
Okay.
I'm just muting everybody and
yes,
not
yes,
allowing
yes.
participant to mute this thing. Sorry guys, you have to do this because बीच में कोई ना कोई आ जाता है तो so in case of any this thing, you can write on the chat. Be happy to answer on the chat. So, welcome Dinesh ji. Thank you so much for taking time out for this. Glad to hear you.
Okay. So, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Gargi, for this, and Vaishnavi for inviting me into this. So, what I'm going to do is to just take you through the journey of what I'm doing in animal welfare so far. Is everyone can see the screen, right? And audio is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Good. So the topic is, what we are saying is self-transformation through animal welfare. One of the main reasons why I agreed to do this is, see, I am not a thoroughbred, hard experienced person in this kind of activity. I just started maybe 1.5 years back, and what I realized that there is a lot we can do, and there is a lot more to do, provided we all understand how this is to be done. And people do think that it's very difficult thing to do, but I think I have learned it in an easier way maybe. But I just want to share the whole perspective with all of you who are on this talk. So basically, I'm just going to cover about my family. So obviously, that's the most critical thing that we need to be understanding. Where did this all things start? How did it progress? And how did we try to get into some kind of a collaboration? And when did that that trigger happens? And then where are we right now? And then what are my learnings, which I picked up on the way. So I would request each and every one of you to come onto the chat and then put in some kind of a questions if you have any. Otherwise, this can be quite a boring kind of a lecture, because I'm not showing any gory pictures here. No gory videos I'm going to put in, because I don't want to scare people who are trying to just get into this activity right now. So this is the family that I have right now. So one good thing, or maybe one of the luckiest thing that that's happened with me, is each one of this in this family. This is my wife, my 2 kids, which is elder one is Vikram, who is on the blue shirt. The younger one, which is Rahul, is in the red one, and my wife Rupal. I think they have been, in a sense, my strength and my backbone in whatever I'm doing, whether I'm doing it in this or in my career. So they never questioned the logic behind what I decide to do, or why I'm getting into this, why I'm doing this. But whatever step I have taken, and they stood by this. And whenever I, some kind of a help or any kind of support, they were always there. And so point number one is, I'm sure, because I've been speaking to a lot of people in this business, and I keep getting the feedback saying that, my husband doesn't like this, my wife doesn't like it, but I still continue to do it. in that sense, yes, I've been slightly more luckier because my entire family supports this animal welfare activity. So I think in that sense, it's been a God-given gift to me, so that I can do what I'm trying to do. So where did it all start? So it's very interesting thing. I mean, so as a person, I used to be, I won't say I was a pet lover or an animal lover or anything of that sort. But I used to, be running one aquarium on which I did a lot of research. And that has taken a lot of time, a lot of money, and nothing actually came out of that. So that's my entire background about keeping pet. When I was young, maybe when I was back in Kerala, at that time we had one dog with us. And but that time, obviously, I was not in the house. I was staying in the boarding, so there was not much interaction with that dog in any case. Interestingly, what happened was this bird, this Indian sparrow, one bird came into my house somewhere in 2000 August. And it was a small bird, and actually it fell from the nest and it landed onto the windows. And somewhere I got an urge that, we should actually take this bird inside and then try to, grow her, the bird. So obviously we somehow managed to catch the bird. It was actually, it's not even able to fly. It was too young. And now I know that, it's too young. But at that time I thought it can fly and all, but maybe injured. That was my understanding at that point of time. So I caught the bird and then, I kept it in one of this vegetable basket. And then I realized maybe it's too small a place. So I went and bought a cage and put the bird in the cage. So obviously we gave, not that I have any experience about, what the bird will eat and all that. So we put all the normal grains and all. And then I realized that second the bird died. Right. So then I said that, so obvious point number one. So when I come back to the family side, let me just, give us some kind of a context about me, which will help people to understand the kind of changes that I have gone through. So point number one, as a person, I was a hardcore career-oriented person. I had nothing else other than focusing on my career. Out of the 35 years of my experience, I have spent a good amount of 28 years in the Tatas and the Mahindra pedigree. So that's the background. So I always wanted to excel in what I'm doing, and most of the things what I ever tried to do was, was being done for the first time. So I would say out of the 24 hours of time, I would say almost 18 plus hours were in the job, and that's all I could do. I mean, I was not a person who was actually spending time in the house, so time for the families. Even my kids were small. I think my wife somehow managed to do the job and bring them up. I was not even available most of the time, and even if I was available, I was not really, looking into that side at all. As a basic nature of the person, so like I said, once I'm focusing on something, then it's a complete focus. And so when you are in the race for the career and you want to be excelling there are a lot of things that you tend to avoid or tend to ignore, or maybe you don't even want that to get into your sense. So obviously I was not at all concerned about any people in that sense. I mean, forget about the animal. I was not even concerned about the people. And for me, it was I'm since I'm only limited to my career at that point of time, I thought each and every employee in the organization was somebody who has been paid to do a particular job, and they should be doing that job. That's beyond that. I never even bothered to find out what is their family, how do they feel, what do they do, what are their hopes, nothing of that sort. So in a sense, I would say to a great extent, I was self-obsessed, probably. And never ever tried to be on the other person's shoe and see what he or she is feeling about it. And so it was like, it's more of the entire life was running on a transactional mode at that point of time. And that's also the reason why I've been quite successful in the career to that extent, because there was nothing else which was diverting my attention. So, but the words like compassion and caring and all never existed in my dictionary at that point of time. So when this bird actually ended up in the house, I don't even know why, I decided to pick it up, because I would have just said, "ठीक है, मतलब घर के बाहर पड़ा है, so let it be." I mean, why bother, kind of a thing. So normally, like, even when the pigeons and all come, I shoo them away. But this bird, I said, let's take it in. So obviously, the long story short, the bird died. And then the challenge was, somehow I felt, we should not be keeping an empty cage in the house. I don't know from where that spirituality came into my head at that point of time. I said, we should not keep an empty cage in the house, so we should buy some bird for that. So that's how I ended up, going to buy, lovebirds. So I did some kind of a research and I realized that it's not very difficult to, maintain them. And unlike a parrot or some fancy thing, I said, lovebird, it's okay. I mean, it's cheaper. And the cage will be full, right? And so what essentially happened was, because, we have identified with a great difficulty, which is the best shop who will give genuine birds, not sick birds and all. Then, so obviously, then I had to go back to that same shop for the food, for medicine and all that thing. And there were multiple visits, and this dog was always sitting in that shop. So this is Shih Tzu, and very well groomed, and and she will always be playing around with me. And at times, it also happened that I used to go to that shop just to play with this dog. And that's the time, I used to, obviously, some point of time, I always thought, we should be having a dog in the house, because my sister has got four dogs. But so I was always, priming everyone, and my kids both, they said, okay. Younger one wanted the one dog. Elder one also agreed that we should have the dog, but there was a roadblock. The roadblock was my wife. So I would say she hates the dog, but she doesn't like the dog, right? So even when we used to go to my sister-in-law's place in Kerala, she was very, very clear in that the dog will not come into the room. The dog will not, go and she will not touch the dog. The dog should not come and lick her. And these were the preconditions. And somehow I think the dogs were intelligent enough that, they also did not dare to go near her and, break the rules which she has put. So all through the cajoling time, or whatever you want to call it, and she was always very clear that, I don't want a dog. And I don't want a dog. And it came at a one particular point, it also came to the point saying that it's going to be me or the dog. That's where the things went on. Then I realized I am stuck at this point of time. So far in a corporate world, because of the so-called designations and the chair on which I am sitting, I could always, bulldoze my way and get the things done. And here, now majority is agreeing that, we want it, but then one person is saying it is not going to happen. And I think then I realized that, there's no point in assuming that things will fall in place. It's better to, get into some kind of a dialogue and see how it goes on. So then, so obviously, there was always this kind of a discussion once in a while, and saying that, we should get a dog, and she will say no. Then I don't know. I think as luck would have it, probably. And one fine morning, she said, yes, go and get a dog. She again put 3 conditions. One, she will not, I will not touch the dog. The dog should not touch me. She will not get into my bed. All that I will do is to provide 3 times food to the dog. And beyond that, I don't want hair in the house. So obviously, this was like a golden opportunity. And I somehow identified a breeder, and then we got into discussions. My younger son wanted a German Shepherd, and I think the breeder said no. After looking at the house and all, he said, no, I can't give you the German Shepherd. So the next 2 breed, which is the Golden Retriever and the Lab, was out because of the hair, the hair part. So then I was stuck, because beyond this, I did not know. I knew Pomeranian as a breed, but beyond that, I had no clue about any breeds, because I did not even research. Now, the breeder one day called me and he said, "Hey, boss, if you're concerned about the size of the dog, the the shedding of the dog, then I will suggest you go for a beagle. So I said, what is this? So he said, it's a breed. So now, see, I was, in a sense, I was also selfish because, I said, let's not lose this time. I said, as long as it's a dog, just get the dog. I mean, whether it's beagle, whether it's ABC, it doesn't make any difference. It's going to be a dog. And ironically, he only suggested that we should go for a female dog, right? So on 9th of December 2020, this lady arrives in the house. So it's a beagle. So, I mean, we had no clue what is to be done because, it's the first time we are trying to do this pet parenting kind of a thing. But one thing we were very clear that we are not going to put a leash on her in the house. Neither she is going to be in the crate. She will be like 4 of us. She will be roaming around openly and all. So then there was all this, rigmarole of training her for, potty training and this and that. So luckily it was it's almost gone into a lockdown at that point of time. So we were able to, take care of this dog, and we were also able to spend time. But one thing we understood at that point of time, because ironically we stay in a 4 BHK house in Kharghar. So everybody was in their own room, right? So I will be in my room, my kids will be in their own rooms. My wife will be, half the time she will be in kitchen, half the time she will be in one of the other rooms. But this, so this dog's name is Luna. So I'll now start calling her Luna. So when Luna actually came into the house, we realized that, we started leaving the room and sitting in the common area where Luna is playing around. So at least, and when we actually did the internal interior of the house, we had categorically said that there will be no television in the main room. So then, she became the center of attraction, and she's been, you can understand, the puppy face of a dog, how interesting it is. So we used to take her for walks and all those kind of things. But then we suddenly realized that there is some kind of a, fulcrum on which we are all now latching onto. So this went on and on. I mean, this is how she looks now. She's become 2 years. But I would say that I would call that she has come probably to reform, I would say, me, because when we look at this kind of charities and this kind of thing, I think my wife always wanted to do this. I'm not talking about doing it for the animal, but she always wanted to help others and these kind of things. And so the animal thing was never in my focus. I mean, I used to see the animals on the road. I used to get scared, like most of the people will feel. But after even when I started taking Luna out for the walk, I could see that the community dogs are shouting, barking and all, and used to get scared. But over a period of time, they also stopped barking, and I said, okay, chalo, I think some kind of a piece has been brokered at that point of time, right? And then interestingly, what happened was, so in a way, I could see that I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe boasting, but I think in the reality, I'm maybe lacking the words. I started reading, the eyes of this Luna, and then I could sense. I mean, in the initial point of time, I will not even come to know whether she's shouting because she's hungry or she's having some pain or anything. But my wife used to get a very clear sense that at this point of time, if she's doing this, then it's because she's hungry, she wants to drink water, those kind of things. So she was far ahead in understanding that communication. But I slowly picked it up, saying that I could start reading the eyes in that sense. So what used to happen was all the dogs were sitting outside. When I started going for the walk, that's the point where I started actually taking the baby steps. Everyone is aware of it. This is where you all get into the so-called animal welfare. So every time I used to go for a walk, I will go and luckily that was the what do you call it, the lockdown, and the GPay and all those became very famous. So Every time I go out for a walk, I'll go out and buy, 20 rupees biscuits and put it in the pocket and then start giving it to. There are two batches of dogs. One is very close to my house and one is slightly around, 500 meters away. So I used to feed them, and every day I used to feed them biscuits without fail. And then slowly I realized that, so they're also getting, quite manageable. I mean, they keep waiting for you. But I always used to wonder, because there's one girl in the area. Her name is Anubama. She's also in the rescue group. So whenever she comes out of the house or she is near the road, the entire battalion of the dogs will start following her. So I used to wonder, hey, even I give her a biscuit, and why? I mean, suddenly, I am standing there and these guys ignore me and then start chasing this girl. So one day I went and asked her. I mean, then I realized that during my observation, I realized that she actually feeds all these dogs every evening. So I was not very, so I'm not a very big social animal, or, I will go and speak to a stranger. I won't do anything of that. So one day I went and asked her that if you want some kind of an help or anything in the feeding, then we can start looking at it. So she said, see, every day, in any case, I'm feeding every day. So do one thing, you feed one day, I will feed the other day. So we agreed on an alternate day business, saying that, every alternate day I will feed. And then we shifted, I shifted directly from, so there's a very common picture that everyone sees. So I shifted from biscuit because, in any case, I knew that, I've been told multiple times that, you should not be giving this Parle-G and Monaco to, Mari to Luna. So I said, because then they said, there is skin issues and all these kind of things. So that's also the point when I started thinking that, we should change the diet. And that's where we moved on to the rice and chicken, which is cooked at home. So we actually both cook. Anupam also cooks the food at her home, and we also do that. So then it's, chicken rice, then dry food and chicken rice. So we started with, I think, if I remember the number correctly, we started with a number of around 12 dogs to be fed. And at one point of time when we counted, it was almost sitting at a count of 40. So it keeps varying, at times it becomes 25, sometimes it goes up, at times it becomes 12, 13, 14, because you also end up losing a lot of dogs in between. So, but I think, then as a routine, as a discipline, we realize that at 9 o'clock in the night, we have to feed these people. Come what may. You may be doing a lot of other things, but you have to take a hard stop there, go and feed them, and then come back and do it. So I think even now there is, we were in the middle of the lockdown and things were going quite okay. And we never, see, even when the unlock happened, when the officers started for some time, but this routine was maintained. Feeding them was always done without any fail. So if somebody is not able, if Anupama is not able to, feed on one day due to her preoccupation, then I will do it. And vice versa. If I'm not able to do it, I'm not available, then she will take care of that. So that ensured that the community animals in and around our sector is fed at least once in a day properly. No excuse, nothing. Then slowly so once you start feeding, then you tend to get attached. I started understanding their names, understanding their behavior. And that's when we realize that, then you see suddenly a dog is limping and we say, okay, chalo, let's take them to the vet. And that's how the medical care also started simultaneously. So, but it was still limited to, that 10, 20 dogs or 25 dogs that we were feeding. And, we used to take care of the deworming, their vaccination, the sterilization, the wounds, everything we used to run to the doctor and get this thing sorted. But slowly we realized that, we will get into some kind of so obviously, so this was like a side activity just going on. And obviously at the end of the day, I'm also a pet owner. We are also a pet owner. We got a pet in the house, and, Luna, by luck, is become the favorite of a lot of people in the area. And that's the point when somebody suggested that, you should have an Insta page. So I created an Instagram page for Luna. Then I said, how do I share these videos? I need to share it at least in the local group. And that's how we created a group in the building. in the complex that we are staying. And that is perhaps the first foundation which was laid for the work that we are doing. So we stay in a complex called Adiraj, and this group was named as Canine Club of Adiraj, and we were very clear that we will only keep parents of this complex. But then slowly we suddenly see some dog in the street, somebody is walking a dog, and we add those people. So the name Adiraj just remained as it is, but it was not limited to Adiraj. It was limited to maybe Sector 5 of Kharghar. So this is basically, like I said, it was a fun and frolic kind of a group. And the welfare activities were done by few of the people who were there in that group, but it was not percolated down into each and everyone saying that, we should do something for these street animals. Now, at some point of time, so like I said, we were always doing this kind of, feed, treat, and make sure that they get well, those kind of a thing. So then interestingly, one day, as in one of the evenings, I get a call from my son saying that, get the car, we need to take a dog to the doctor. And this was not actually from my area where I'm actually taking care. It was on the other side of the road. And so he was actually taking Luna for a walk, and it seems that he has seen, one dog has been unconscious there. So when I reached there were two college boys trying to revive them. Somebody is trying to give the dog milk. And so there were three people, my son and these two college kids. And so I think this dog revived for a moment, and it's male. He just jumped. And there was a gutter there was a manhole just behind her, and she fell into the manhole. He fell into the manhole, and then my son and one of the other guy went into the manhole, pulled up the dog, and then we took to the dog. Now, when I went to the doctor, so the doctor said this dog is very old, and there's no reflex, there's no response. He said, I will give you the medicines and all, but you can't treat this dog on the street. So I asked him, what should I do? He said, you should find a foster. This name came to me for the first time. I said, what is this foster? So there were two people sitting there, right? One fat lady and one thin girl. And they started calling a lot of people there and saying that, do you have a space? There's an old dog, we need to keep her, and all that. But ironically, what happened was, so this is this lady, I'm sure most of you will be knowing her. This is Anamika Chaudhary. So she was sitting there and she made one statement saying that, knowing my experience of 28 years with the dog, this dog will not see the light of next day morning. So there is no foster available. I said, I'm not going to let this dog die in the street. Whatever it is, he needs to be, given a respectable death. But I had no clue. What do I do? I can't take the dog to my house, and I can't leave him on the street. We don't have any place to keep. And that's the point when Anamika made a statement that if no one is willing to take the dog, then I will take the dog. So I don't even know who this lady is. And I have been told, when I was calling people, I was calling some of the people in and around the area. They said the foster actually charges around 300 rupees per day, and that's the budget that you have. And that's, obviously this was going to be paid from my pocket or Anupama's pocket. And no, I don't think Anupama was there at that time. It's going to be paid from my pocket. And so when she said, I will take the dog, I asked her, how much will you charge, right? So she did not answer. She said, let me just take the dog. We will discuss about these commercials later. And that day, I think there was no space in her ambulance, and she tried to call other ambulance. That ambulance was not ready. And then she requested, can you just come and drop this dog to my place? So I said, what is this place? So she said, it's a shelter. I said, what do you mean by a shelter? She said, I keep dogs. I said, take. So this entire conversation was happening at around 9 o'clock in the night. And those times I could not drive because of my cataract. And my son said, okay, I will go get the car. And we took the dog. And then I got the GPS that it's in Karnala, some 45 minutes, 50 minutes in the night. Somehow we managed to reach there. When the shelter gate opened, I'll tell you that that was the point where I actually lost, I would say the pulse stopped for a few moments at that point. I never seen something like this. I mean, this is at the middle of the night. I think I still remember the time, 10:30 in the night. Dogs moving all over the place. Some are coming in, sniffing me. And I don't think she had reached there. And I think she told the attendant that you keep this dog in my room. I still remember the statement, just keep this dog in my room. So we handed over the dog and we just took, myself and my son took a look around. And we came back, we came home, and then, she was continuously giving me video update, he's getting fits. And I think at 12:30, she sent a message saying that Dada, the dog has passed away and I will do the burial. Now, a couple of things actually hit me at that point of time. I said, this lady had no business to come in between and say that, I will help you by taking this dog, point number one. And I'm frankly speaking, I'm yet to pay the foster charge. As on date, I have still not paid that foster charge of 300 rupees, which I should have paid her. So then the other thing was, if she was not there, if she had not offered that, she had not made that statement saying that, I will take the dog, I had no clue what I would have wanted. It would have been I would have been in despair. I said, I can't let this dog die. I will not be sleeping peacefully. But anyway, so at that point, I realized that, maybe even if some people don't ask help, maybe it makes sense that you offer help from across the table. I mean, it's not just for the humans, it's even for the animals. I mean, this point actually triggered 2-3 things in my head. One, I said, see, I am at that point of time, you please understand, I am running a company of around turnover around 600 crores or something. I don't know. Some big numbers I was running. And I said, this lady is managing a place which has got only animals, and she's staying in the middle of that, right? So then I thought maybe, like I would still say that, all these animal welfare people are half crying. So I thought maybe she's mad. So let's not get into too much of, thinking about it. But 2-3 things hit me. I said, maybe, if I can do something like this, it makes sense. Point number one. Second is, I think, if you want to really help these kind of animals, there are ways and means by which you can actually do this instead of, throwing stones at them or showing them away or relocating them, those kind of things. So that's how I got in touch with Hansard Hill. I mean, as all said and done, I mean, I've heard about a lot of shelters. I've seen what is going on in the shelters. But today, Hansard Hill, in a true sense, has become my second home because, almost every weekend I'm there with my wife. I mean, whenever ma'am calls me for something, I'm always available. Not because of any, I'm not getting paid or anything, but I said, this lady is doing something which is very sensible, which nobody else can do. And if she needs some kind of a support or a help or a moral, support, it makes sense that, you provide. But other than this, a lot of things changed. So after a few days, I actually went in a morning and started taking a look, right? 2-3 things, 1 or 2 things which hit me at that point of time that, you try to equate a shelter with an old age home which people run for humans, right? You see basically the misery there. But here's something which is very wonderful thing that I've seen at that point of time. All the animals are happy, extremely playing around, and they have been, the sick animals have been treated quite well. So you see dogs, you see cats, you see cows, you see sheep, you see tortoise, you see duck. You name the animal and they have it, right? And they're all running around. Everyone is well fed. You don't see any, skinny kind of a thing. Main thing, the shelter is very clean. It's kept very neat and clean. There's no stink at all. I said, this is something which is slightly different than what I thought it will be. And this is where I said that, yes, I think this is what I need to do going forward. So this is where I think, you call it as a, the revelation or whatever you want to call it, enlightenment or whatever name want to call it. And I came back and I thought, maybe, why can't we do something like this? So this is what I call as a takeoff. That couple of visits to Hans that Hill was actually it actually, turned my perception completely in a different manner. And I said, yes, this is something which we can do and we should do, right? Now, along with this, then suddenly another thing happened. So, like I said, I mean, I don't know how many of you are from I know I can see some of the people who are from the area, but the Kharghar golf course is almost like 7 kilometers away from where the place I sit. And there was one fund appeal which had come in one of the groups saying that, there is a distemper dog and we need to treat. And I don't know for what reason. It's not even belonging to my group at that point of time. But I thought, I should help. And so I donated some money, and there was still something short to close the fund. I said, take this and close the fund and do the treatment. So after a week, I got there was an update in the group saying that the dog is healthy and fine and all. I said, thank God, the guy survived. It's been treated in the golf course. But after 10, 15 days, again got once I'm just getting a call. Yeah, Vaishnavi. Hello. After 10, 15 days, I get a message in the same group that, this dog is dying because there's nobody to take care. So that's the point when I said, now this dog will be under our care and we will make sure that, the guy has been recovered. So I think almost for 6 months, right? We were doing the, one sec. Hello? Yeah. No. Yeah, sorry for this. So, for 6 months, we have been treating the distemper recovered kid, and every day we have been going there, fit food, medicine, doctor visit and all. And again, like I said, this was a discipline. Every night at 9:30, we are at golf course every day, carry chicken broth and all. So that was an experience where, when actually this dog passed away, I mean, I think both of us were literally in tears, saying that it was, what happened to this dog? I think this perhaps was the first time, I literally felt sad about losing a dog. So then they see a lot of time, people used to ask me, give us something, I mean, even if you try to do a rescue, right? So where do you keep the animals? So that is where the Hansard Hill came as a solution to me, saying that, okay, now I cannot say there is no place for me to keep the dog, so I cannot do the rescue. So we said, okay, fine. So the shelter part, the post-op part is now taken care of. So the rescues actually started happening. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of details about that, but on a weekly basis, there is 1 or 2 rescues that used to happen. And but again, we came into a deadlock because there was no funds. I mean, who is going to fund the medical? Who is going to fund the transport? And that's where we realized that it's going to be a long journey. And by thinking, on a short-term business, we are not going to reach anywhere. That's where we sat down and we said, yes, if you look at the entire animal welfare, right from, the picking up the dog to transport to vet to shelter, we have all the pieces which is there, right? Now, some of the missing pieces are obviously the funds. Second is the geographical reach, because you can't be saying that I will only do the rescue of this 1 kilometer stretch of road. So we said, okay, now we'll extend into another sectors. And then obviously the transport thing, we said, okay, I mean, it's still a dream, but we said, okay, we will have our own animal transport vehicles. And we said, okay, fine. Now, I mean, then we put in made some rough calculator. We said, maybe we need so much money to do that. And that's how this K9 Mitra came up. So this group actually been formed with a motive that, we'll be only doing the rescues and we need to be funded every month. So we have kept some 200 or 300 rupees as the minimum for that. And as and when required, people pump in money and we use that fund to do the rescues. So this has actually freed up our, limitations, and we started doing much bigger rescues. But always you get into a point where you say that, you don't have the courage to pick up animals, because I used to get very scared of blood. And then something happened. This is a dog which has been named as Virangana by Anamika ma'am. It's an acid attack victim who was lying in Malad 2 days with a face burned. And when this was picked up, I think I was there throughout the surgery. I was standing in the, I'd seen the blood, I've seen the gory, I've seen the eyes popping out, everything. And I said, if, I can stand this kind of a scenario, then obviously I was preparing myself for more. And then this happened. It's extremely a gory case. I mean, I've seen 2 people who were there with me were actually shivering when this dog was picked up, and the surgery, obviously the dog passed away. And then the third rescue, which was completely a torn open dog, which we rescued and got sutured, and things are pretty okay. So I think after multiple of this, I don't want to even get into how many maggot wound dogs I picked up. So what was happening was I was mentally getting prepared to do much more and more, and much harder ones, right? And then somehow, we started getting this kind of a connection, saying that if there's a dog anywhere, I mean, there's a dog in sector 35, can you go? There's a dog in Belapur, can you go and pick it up? So then, somehow the priorities in the mind have changed completely, saying that, yes, we need to be looking at this in a much more wider manner. We cannot say that, we can't be rescuing them. I always said, if there is a shortage of funds, the funds will keep coming in. But obviously the story kept on continuing, like, there is a treatment, we put them into shelter, we bring them back, we release. Some of them die in accidents. We bury, I mean, on every month, I think we bury almost, 1 or 2 animals, not just everything from my area, but even from the other areas. So we have set of people, I mean, we have lined up set of people who are, self-motivated to do on the field work. Some people are willing to fund it. So that entire ecosystem started working, and then this thing happened. So always I was told that, in the animal welfare is a very, very dirty political game. I mean, nobody likes nobody, and nobody can, ye mera kutta, ye mera area. And that's how the things were happening. And I was always telling Anamika that, why, I mean, if the focus is actually welfare of the animal, why can't we just keep these personal things aside and start looking at a bigger picture? And obviously, I mean, that bigger picture came because of Nagpur dogs. That whatever the High Court judgment came, that's how, we managed to gather almost like 1,500 people in Shivaji Park, and somehow we were able to show the unity. And the groups which were created for, the protest group 1, protest 2, group 2, 3, suddenly people started putting the rescue requirements, rescue cases in that group. And then we said, let's not disturb the protest group. We'll create another group which is only for rescue. And that's how the Canine Mitra rescue group came up. Thanks to Vaishnavi, this logo is actually made by her and sent it to me, saying that we should use this. I just done a copyright on this logo. So that's how the Canine Mitra actually happened. And so now it's a much bigger organization. We are around 325 people spread across, right from Vasai to Badlapur. And what we are seeing is there is a collaborative approach amongst all the animal welfare people who really want to help the animals. I mean, there is exchange of idea, there is exchange of knowledge, there is complete collaboration about how do you rescue an animal. You may rescue an animal in Virar, it may be kept into a treatment center somewhere in between, then transported to an hospital, maybe put into a shelter. So that entire value chain or the supply chain has been set up by Canine Mitra. And so now today, if you ask me, how do a family look like? The last one is a new entry, which is quite recent entry. It's a dog which has been rescued from the illegal breeding, and now we have adopted this dog. So now it is, instead of the 4, it's actually now 6 people. Now, if you ask me what are the transformation that I had gone through, right? Now, obviously, like I said, I was very self-centered or maybe, mind my business kind of a man. But right now, I think, people who are knowing me will now say that at any point of time, if this guy has been called for a help, is already available. I keep getting, every day I keep getting multiple calls and multiple messages saying that, there's a dog here, try to do something. So whatever, in that sense, yes. Second, I think, from a hardcore, my wife always used to, she always keeps telling that, you should be staying in Himalayas because you don't have any emotions, you don't have any compassion, you don't get any reactions, all those kind of things. But I think I've changed in that sense because now I become much more compassionate. And I think, in a sense, every animal I feed or I rescue, maybe a lack of a word, I think, you get some kind of a sukoon in that sense, saying that, okay, fine, you're doing something for somebody else. And the best thing is that there is nothing you are getting out of that. You keep doing it. At the most, you will get abuses from the people around you, the society you are staying. But you are doing a service which is giving you, your selfless service. And at an intellectual level, or maybe at a mental level, is giving you some kind of a kick, saying that, yes, I have done something good for somebody who cannot even ask for that service. And over a period of time, I think I have mellowed down a lot. I started looking at things from the other person's viewpoint. Not saying that, I completely changed or anything, but yes, I think the transformation has started. Now I can feel somebody's pain. I can feel, I'm talking about even the human side, I can feel their pain. And I always try to, empathize with things. So as a person, did I evolve? The answer is yes. I feel that, I'm doing much things which I never thought I will be able to do. It's a tough thing, but yes. So I think over a period of time, I'm still not saying that, I'm only into around 1.5 years into this. I'm not saying that I'm become expert in this. But what I'm trying to do is to mix my corporate experience into something which is completely disorganized at this point of time, and seeing some kind of a sense into this, putting some kind of a sense into the animal welfare, and make sure that, more and more animals get rescued. Not necessarily, it's from Kharghar or it's from Navi Mumbai or anything. Across wherever we have the reach, we need to, rescue whatever animals we can do. That's also the reason why I've been able to rescue animals in Lucknow, because of some contacts in the police. Otherwise, I would have never even thought, I can use police to rescue animals. So a lot of these kind of things actually happened. And all my point is, if anybody is sitting on the fence saying that, shall I do it? Shall I not do it? I would say just jump into it. It's at the end of the day, you will have very, very, very peaceful sleep. And you will feel that, the purpose for which you are coming into this universe is perhaps getting fulfilled. I always used to wonder why, if I can do it, if some people can do it, why everybody else cannot do it, right? So I still remember, I recall one video clip of Fizar Shah, who was running one of the biggest shelters in, I think, Vasai Virar. He's saying that, not everybody has been sent down with this kind of a heart, when only some people have been given this gift of taking care of the animals. And I would tend to agree, but I think, it's not a God-given gift in that sense. If you really put your heart into it, if you start taking care of, animals, if you understand their pain, I think you will become a better human being at the end of the day. I've been told to wind up because, I've been given a time till 8:30, and I think I'm well on the time. If anybody has any question, you can ask me, or I'm there in some of the groups which is there. Anybody can call me at any point of time. But at the end of the day, what I think we have been able to achieve is a well-coordinated rescue team in the country, which I think is rescuing more than 5 animals every day, which is unheard of in the animal rescue. So thanks to each and every person who is in the part of that group. Thanks to each and every person who is listening to this. If you get motivated to do, at least, start with feeding. That's how you start off. Start with feeding. It doesn't really cost you anything. 10 rupees, you will get a Parle-G biscuit. And then you will get that connection, and then you will start doing the work. If anybody has any question, I mean, I'm willing to take it. Otherwise.
Thank you so much, Dinesh ji. Thank you so much for your the story. And I would request if anyone has any question. I have a question. Why K9?
Why K9? I mean, the name?
Yes. What is the meaning of K9? Khargar?
No. It's not that. So I used to work in in a setup which used to be largely dominated by the army people. The army and the police parlance. The dogs are called. So it's actually canine.
Canine. Oh, okay.
So the short form is K9. So.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Khargar something. K4.
No. It's just
okay. That. Okay. Wonderful. Canine. So, anyone has any question?
Somebody has put in a question.
What inspired you to enter this work, and how you managed it with professional
life? So, am I on mute?
No, you're not on mute.
Okay. So, what inspired, to a great extent, I will say Luna is the inspiration in that sense. Right. So, I mean, when you start, living with an animal, then you suddenly realize that, I mean, you don't really spend too much of time and money, or if you want to help the other animals around you. So there is nothing, I mean, the inspiration is only that, once you start off, then I still remember, my vet telling me one day that so you also started the animal welfare activities. I said, yeah, I do some rescues. So he said, please remember that this is an endless loop. Once you are in, you will not be able to come out, because you won't want to come out. That's the point. It's not that you want to come out, you won't be wanting to come out. Managing the professional life, like I said, yes, I was very career oriented, but I think after doing all these kind of things, I think, the life will go on with you or without you in the professional side. And time management, I think today, come what may, I am at home at around 6:37. I am at home, and 7 to 9 or maybe 7 to 10 is when I do this entire activity. And after 10 o'clock, I am back home. So time with the family, I was never spending too much time with the family, and I don't think even I spend too much time with the family even now. So that's always been a perennial complaint which I face. But I think they have been very well supportive of whatever I'm doing.
There's another question.
What are the local sort of chapters and branches across India? So there's no branch of K9 at this point of time. We don't even intend to create multiple branches, because see, in any group, you will only see around 20% of the people actually contributing, and the rest of the 80% of the people will be just being there, kind of a thing. And second is, so the K9 at this point of time, K9 Mitra is at this point of time, as we speak, is under registration for a trust. And we don't have we don't have enough. I mean, we will decide about making other branches when we have enough people and enough bandwidth to do those kind of things, because I don't want to really spread too wide and then create disruption, whatever is going on at this point. Someone has used about Noida incident of a dog in the lift or something. What these people are missing to buy costly dog? What is?
Even Nikhil has raised his hand. Nikhil, are you able to unmute yourself? Nikhil? Are you there?
So anyway, to answer this question, I think I'm fairly getting what has been asked. See, I mean, when you buy a dog, I mean, today I will not even use the word buy the dog. You have to adopt a dog. I mean, when I wanted a dog, I never knew about the shelters and all these kind of things. Otherwise, probably I would not have gone in for this kind of a purchase. Now, when you get a dog, you please understand that he is the family. It's not a toy. You have to spend time with them. You have to understand the psyche. You have to train them. to whatever way you want them to be trained. There can be behavioral issues where you need to do the communication, understand what is the underlying issue of that animal. So there are a lot of activities which needs to be done. I mean, it's a parenting. Frankly speaking, it's a parenting, and I never, really speaking, I never actually spent time with my kids when they were young. But the kind of time and attention I'm giving to these two dogs, I think it's a team effort. I mean, everyone in the family has to be aligned to train the dog, make them understand that how they need to behave. If the dog is aggressive, when you are taking out put the muzzle. I mean, there are basic things which you need to follow. I mean, it's not very difficult. I mean, frankly speaking, it's not very difficult to train a dog. It's not difficult. I mean, I got this Ruski. I mean, he's when I got him, he's almost like 9 months. Now, in 1 month, he's already been trained on where to do susu, where to do potty, where to sleep, what to eat, when to eat. Everything has been done. It's actually the way the family does. The dog will also automatically understand this.
Okay. Nikhil, now you can unmute yourself, I think. That's it. Anyone has any other question? I don't know why they are not able to unmute themselves.
No, they can just put it in the chat, right, if they want.
Nikhil, can you just put it on the chat?
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm able to unmute.
Okay.
So one thing Dilip ji has already answered what I was also trying to answer what Chittaranjan Kesri ji has asked for the question. It's all about parenting.
It's all about parenting. I mean, it's basically how you will bring up your kids. That's the way you have to bring up the dogs. There's no alternative. I mean,
Dilip ji, if we want to join your campaign, definitely, I'm also feeding dogs, stray dogs at my place, and I have spits at my place. So I'm also very, dog or animal loving person. But I would definitely love to join your, mission or campaign, especially when we talk about, seeing any of the dogs or animal when it comes to, hospital or medical issues, especially. So that is one point that I would like to join. So how do we go about it?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my number in the chat box, right? You can message me if anybody wants to join this. You can message.
Dinesh ji, I will share your number on the group.
Okay.
Right.
Nikhil, you will get the number.
So my number is
thank you so
publicly
much.
given. So anybody wants to join, you can just send me a DM and I will add you into the group.
Dinesh ji, can I add you onto our Emotional Cafe group? There you can actually.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
I will add you.
No.
That's it. Anyone else here?
Vaishnavi is actually in my group. So,
yeah, I know.
I don't know. I mean, she's in Bandra and she's joined a group in Kharghar. I don't know. I mean, at least she said she wants to understand what is going on. So,
okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, Musna. So Musna does a lot of work in Mumbai area all by herself.
Vaishnavi ji has raised her hand. Vaishnavi ji, unmute. You can unmute yourself. That's it. Unmute yourself. We are not able to. You can't.
I think you'll have to unmute. Host will have to unmute everyone.
I have done. That's the reason Nikhil was able to unmute himself. Don't know.
You can just put the Vaishnavi can just put
it. Yeah. सबसे पहले hello everyone. Good evening. Gargi ji, MHealth team, मैं आप सबसे यही बोलना चाहूंगी. Dinesh ji is a pure soul and he is an inspiration for me. And मेरी जो pet है, her name is Moon. She took me to this rescue group actually.
Okay.
So thank you, Dinesh ji. Thank you so much. Even, you know, मेरी भी life काफी change हुई है after getting my mood. So yes, there is transformation in my life too. I have become patient. I
As
was
I
very
said,
impatient
yeah,
person. I was very
that's true.
impatient person.
That's true, Vaishnavi ji. As when, because before starting with Dinesh ji, I had just narrated a small poet,
Yes.
what was in which it was to say that animals के अंदर कुछ नहीं होता है भेदभाव. We all create this. We human
Yes.
beings are into it. And when anyone says ना कि जैसे they give a गाली type कि कुत्ता कहीं का, I'm sorry, I'm using it. It is, you should not feel
Gandhi ji,
bad
you
because
know
they are
what?
so loyal
You know
that
what?
they teach us a lot.
Yes, you know what? Nowadays my kids, you know, especially मुझे बोलते हैं मम्मा please call me कुत्ता. मैंने कहा are you stupid? Why should I call you कुत्ता? He said पता चलेगा ना आपको मैं कितना वफादार हूँ तो आप कुत्ता ही बोलो मुझे.
Actually, they are loyal. They are very loyal.
So kutta is actually not a gali. It's a, you know, compliment kind of, I must say.
Even in
So,
Mahabharata, when Yudhishthir
yes.
was going to swear, he had dog with him. There's a
Yes.
meaning of that. Actually, there's an inner meaning for that.
Yes.
So animals are part of us because we all are part of this nature. And trees, birds, animals, human beings, we are all a part of this nature. So we should not ignore anything. If we can
Correct.
love dog, we can love human beings also. So human beings should learn something.
Correct. Yes.
That's
So
it.
thank you, Dinesh ji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot,
much.
yes.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much.
Shelja has raised her hand. One last question we can have from her. Shelja,
You can speak to me directly.
can you please unmute? She was able.
So I know him since he got Luna actually. We are neighbors and I never met him for all of 7 years.
So obviously, you know, what happened was also something very interesting because, you know, I was a guy who used to be having parties every week or every month in the house and all. But I think after getting Luna in, the entire the company, the circle has changed completely.
Yeah.
Completely
So-
changed. I mean, if
so
you ask me, anybody from the old group is there? No, the answer is no. Because then you realize that, you know, you connect with people who are having the same wavelength or same passion, the same motive.
Yeah. And I've honestly seen him, like, you know, he's just walking one dog to now, you know, he's surrounded by all the special street dogs in our locality. When I'm driving down, I've been a pet mom for 6 years, but he has gone, you know, from here to there, like still to help out a little bit here and there, but he has really jumped into it. Like he said, don't think, just jump. I think he's like the epitome of that, like a classic example of someone who's actually given his everything apart from the job. I mean, he's doing a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's kudos, you know, the way he's gone ahead. Ruski, yeah. And I think I saw even Ruski, I remember they have given her a lot because she's undergone a lot of trauma and now she's doing really well. I just met her today. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone.
I mean, you can, I mean, Vaishnavi knows, I mean, every time she says, can I call? I said, yes. So I'm always available on the phone. And